What's going on YouTube? This is part of an experiment that I'm doing with my online classes. So once again, this is a continuation of a John Singer Sargent that was started last week. And like I said, this is an experiment with my online classes. So my online classes are 10 a.m. for portrait on Wednesdays, Eastern Daylight Time, and the same time on Mondays for still life. So that means I'm currently on Zoom with my online students. So if you're interested in painting with me on Zoom during portrait class or still life class, it is $10 a month for portraits and $5 a month for still life. Um, so if you hear me talking with my students or something like that, it's because we are also on Zoom at the moment here. So this painting here is a week old. It was actually already touch dry 5 days afterwards. So pretty fast drying. These Cobras are actually they're drying faster for me than they did in the past, and I can't really tell you why that is. As you can see, this is completely dry. Um, all I could say is all I can guess is that it has something to do with the fact that I'm leaving the palette in the freezer, so that might have something to do with it. I've had a lot of questions about like if I am covering it with anything. I'm not really covering it with anything. I'm just putting it on top of everything on the freezer, and then I just close the door of the freezer. Um, and these colors are, believe it or not, these are just 3 colors. It looks like a lot of colors, but I'm just using red, yellow, blue, and I'm pre-mixing colors. So I was working on a painting not too long ago, and these were pre-mixtures from that painting. So that just kind of stays there. And this gray is just what I get when I clean this space off and just mix everything and put it off to the side. So let's go ahead and continue working on this painting. And like I always say, the online classes have, there's already like a whole program of pre-recorded lessons and projects to go through, starting from beginner level to advanced level. This would be considered more of an advanced level start because it did start off pretty loose without any outlines, without any transfer drawing, and it's still at a fairly loose stage. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to start to add more solidity to the painting, and we may not go the whole hour. I'm just going to work a little bit at a time, and then we'll see where we go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and just start off in this general vicinity here. And with Cobras, as I've said before, I can just go right into the paint and trust that the dark, and I showed you this the past 3 weeks already. You just mix something dark, and here you can actually see through it, see through the palette, which is one of the nice things about this clear palette. And you can see this is probably one of the darkest darks I can get, somewhere in between these two, and that hasn't sunken in at all. It hasn't faded, so I can trust my value range. So in this stage, not a lot of stuff is going to happen for a long period of time. All of the fast moving things already took place. And now I'm just going to start to add some subtlety to the planes, things that were once like that, just to chop will now become like a more subtle thing. Sargent's a little bit of a trickster. He paints, he makes his paintings look very loose, but he didn't paint them that way. He took a lot of time to get his paintings to look a certain way, and it's pretty much good marketing is what it is. Excellent painter, but also excellent business person. And I'm not using any medium. I already have a little value scale that's going on the palette. Hey, Mitzi, this is water mixable oil paint, meaning it is oil paint, not acrylic. So this is one of the reasons why I'm using Cobra TALENS, the water mixable, is because I do live in an apartment where we've got only 2 sinks, and I don't want to clean hazardous stuff in those sinks. So I wanted to show the world that you don't need acrylic if you're staying away from oil paint. If anyone's staying away from oil paint because of the toxicity or whatever. However, if you do genuinely enjoy acrylic and the reason you're using it is not the health reasons, then go ahead, use acrylic. No problem there. No problem there at all. But if I were to choose between acrylic and oil paint, I'd always choose oil paint. But because of the toxicity of cleaning cadmiums and lead stuff in the sink, I can't really use the traditional. And I found that these water mixables, rather than just be a substitute, they're an upgrade. To me, it's an upgrade. And I know this painting looks like crap. Like at this stage, it's in a very loose, awkward phase. I painted enough portraits that this doesn't bother me. I know I can go right into work basically, and make it look like the Sargent. That's not the issue. But what is important is what I'm telling you is that it is an upgrade. I consider it an upgrade to what I had used previously in the past. Hey, Beanpot. Now it does take some adjusting. As I've mentioned in the past 3 weeks, it takes some time to get used to. But once you get used to it, it's incredibly simple. And I can't emphasize enough how simple it is. Ingrid. Missing you on the Zoom. I wonder what happened. And I'm carefully trying to craft that look that Sargent gave the eye socket, eyelid. Yeah, Ingrid, I'm on Zoom. It's the same link. No worries about that. Yeah, I'm currently on the Zoom. waiting for any students. But if you're in the car or somewhere, I understand. Totally understand. So I'm mixing value per value, and the biggest advantage that I have here, and I made a whole video dedicated to it, the biggest advantage is that I don't have to compensate for the paint drying differently or sinking in too much. So it eliminates the need for me to have to apply medium. I don't have to oil out at all. I haven't used any medium at all, really. Just the paint, as you see here, just the paint. And I'll use the water to clean off the brushes, but I don't need to thin anything out. The consistency of the paint is perfect. The reference looks a tad yellow to me, so I'm adjusting certain things on it. Ingrid. Like, for example, these planes look way too yellow to me. I think it's probably the reference, or the painting has just gotten a little bit yellow. And Cobra has done some tests on these, chamber tests or whatever, chamber of secrets test, who knows, whatever they call it. But they tested the light fastness of these colors. So, for example, in antiquity, reds were not very light fast. Ingrid.
Hi, sorry. Hi, everyone.
How have you been, Ingrid?
Good, very good, thank you.
Good, good. Yeah, I was just adding some more red to the nose, and kind of commenting on the light fastness tests that they did for these paints, and I think the Sargent painting that I'm using is yellowed out over the years. I think. I don't think Sargent would have painted it that yellow. It could be my screen. Using my laptop, which should have better resolution than my iPad. But I don't know. So what are you working on today, Ingrid? Have you been painting anything?
I'm not painting what you're painting. I just did a painting yesterday, and I used my water-soluble oils. I have another set of oils called Lucas Berlin oils that dry very quickly, and I touched my painting this morning and it was dry to the touch from last night painting.
Oh, that's great. It was dry.
They're not quite the quality of Cobra, though. They're more reasonable water oil soluble paint.
Oh, okay. The Lucas dries fast too.
Lucas Berlin, they're only sold through Jerry's Artarama. I think they're about $4.29 per tube. So if someone's on a budget, they could start using those paints to begin with, see if they like it.
Cool. Yeah, I just got a comment. Yeah, sometimes the passcode doesn't let you in. So, Ellen, I'm gonna email you right now, and you can use the link because I think Richard was the one that figured it out. That you
Yes,
could.
he did. It was perfect.
Yeah, just use the link instead. So.
Good idea.
Okay, so Ellen, I'm just gonna title the email portrait.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I sent it to Ellen. Okay. Yeah, so I've adapted to these paints, like, to the point where I don't even think of them as an alternative anymore. To me, they just are. They're just kind of business as usual now, I think. I know my head's in the way. I'm just on my computer at the moment. All right, so The fact that I can mix, I can paint value, value per value, color per color, and not have to worry about sinking in or glazing or any. I mean, you can glaze with it, and I showed it before. It is possible you can even glaze with the transparency of the paint by itself, and it's really useful. But I don't need it. But it's nice to know that it's possible. Yeah, so I'm just picking a target area, this little section. And that's usually what I do I say when I say kind of like go to town on a section of a painting. This is the subtleties, but not the impossible subtleties. The impossible subtleties is the stage where it's difficult to see what to do next, and that's usually, unfortunately, where most painters stop. But I think it should be a part of your regular kind of like repetition of painting, your repertoire. Alan,
Yay!
welcome.
There you are.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I was ready to videos, but it didn't have my name. It was the first time ever.
Yeah, sometimes it's like the passcode doesn't work, and I don't know what the case is.
It's never happened before, though. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, but
It's all right.
don't paint over that painting. It looks great.
Hey.
It looks great.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny over that classroom critique saying, don't paint over it, don't paint over me.
No, I
Funny.
felt invested in that painting. They'll destroy it.
That was very cute. I won't paint over it now. I would have, but now I won't. Nobody really likes it though, and I have to tell you, I really didn't care for it even when I started it.
Well,
but I wanted to do it because it was a great challenge, and I'd never done long, narrow painting, and I thought it would be very interesting, but it turned out to be hard, and but it's all right. It's okay.
Well, I think it looks great.
Now I find it. I'm sorry?
I think it looks great, and I can understand what you mean by when you say nobody likes it. Because a lot of times, like when we put a lot of effort into things and no one really says anything, it can be kind of disheartening. I that's
I don't really.
Huh?
Yeah, I'd rather have that than people say, ick, I don't like it.
Well, the worst thing is interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
The worst thing they can say is interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought if I brought in more detail, it would really help. Plus, I had to adjust for body size and stuff, but with the flowers and things like that, after having done that portrait of peonies, I thought it would be more interesting if I brought in a little more detail into the flowers and more shading. And it wound up making the picture, along with the dress, kind of noisy, which surprised me. And after all that work, I just decided I was tired. But her face turned out better.
Yeah, the face.
Her hair
turned out pretty good.
Can't have everything. It's okay. But that was very cute. I wanted to tell you I enjoyed that. Oh, don't take me out.
Yeah, I mean all the effort, and like I was saying, like it's difficult for me. It was difficult when I first moved because there's like no art or art groups in this area. I mean, this is Northern Virginia. There's like definitely art here, but you're gonna have to pay like $200 plus to take a class.
Oh wow!
And that's like the only way you're gonna paint from a model with other artists, other than just hiring your own model. So it was a difficult transition for me because I was so used to like constantly getting like feedback from people when I was painting in groups all the time. whether it was good feedback or bad feedback, it was
Yeah.
feedback. It was something. It was human interaction. It's very difficult when you don't have that aspect of it. Like for me, I don't have that aspect at all. I haven't seen
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
artist friend in like 9 months or something.
Right.
So it is difficult, and that's one of the reasons I do pool now. My teacher came
Yeah.
over on what was it, Sunday, and
Oh,
I could finally keep up with him. Like we were playing 9 ball, I could finally keep
yeah.
up with him. And
Excellent. Yeah.
I almost beat him in a game called One Pocket, which is like the most difficult in pool. But he didn't really say anything. Like he was just like
Yeah.
he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I feel like this kid. Like I require like
He
some
should
kind
have
of
jumped up and down and been in his face and said, "Yeah, I beat you."
yeah,
But
but
you don't do that. He's too
no,
classy.
it's too classy. It's too classy. But
You are.
my league people from I had a 9 ball league last night. They noticed. They got up and shook my hand. They were like, "You really
See?
improved a lot." And I was like,
Yeah.
"This is what I used to have in painting. I don't have it anymore."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You must miss it.
yeah, but
Ingrid, did you take video off? Because you were on video before, and now I don't see you.
I'm off video right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was maybe on my end. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Just talking.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
the timer
Oh,
is
Richard.
on. Oh, Richard
Hey,
has joined.
Richard. Hi.
Hello, Richard.
How are you?
Just
We're good.
just
Good.
F,
Good to see you.
just for everyone's info, the timer is on at 7 minutes. If I forget and it cuts off, everybody knows what to do. It's the same link.
Yeah, yeah.
Who are you doing here, Yukari? Who
What's
are
up?
you doing?
What am I doing?
What artist are you doing here?
There's another
Alright.
sergeant. This
I'm
little
sorry?
sergeant,
Oh.
Mr. John Singer. John
Okay.
Singer, Sargent.
Yeah, I should have known. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've been.
Just to let you know, you Pari,
Uh huh.
in the email that you send out, like the last time on the Monday class, I just clicked Patreon in the email. So apparently you couldn't see. So again, I had to go back to a former email and pick up there.
Oh. That's strange.
Yeah, it directed me to Patreon too, but that didn't work.
Yeah,
That's never done that
I
before.
could see it and I could hear it, but
Oh,
It must be a glitch or something with Patreon. I don't know.
hey,
well,
yeah.
it's not the same. I didn't realize I had to go to join the YouTube, the Zoom meeting. It doesn't direct me to Zoom.
Well, yeah, no, the YouTube is separate from Zoom. Zoom is on my phone and my old laptop. YouTube is on my new laptop. Which
Oh,
yeah, so it's kind of a complicated setup. Like I'm using 2 laptops, a phone, a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker, and a TV. Um, and I'm trying to paint at the same time. But you get used to it. It's not that like that difficult to do. But yeah, Zoom I guess there's something going on with it. Sergeant messed up, or maybe his eyes are angled. Unless my eyes are messed up, which is possible. I've noticed a lot of yeah. So the original Sergeant, the axis is a little bit off, but it could be that his eyes were like that. I don't know. So I'll just do
The
it.
head looks a little tilted.
Yeah, it's
The
a
head,
it's a little off, but it's okay. I don't blame Sergeant.
has it sunken in, or is that just the colors that you're using? Because it looks very sunken in.
Well, these
Or is it just first?
I thinned out the dark paint, so when I first applied it, it wasn't heavily opaque, like the blue is here. It's heavily opaque because
Yeah.
it's a ton of paint. So what you're seeing is the canvas underneath showing through. That's what's making it look
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it fades a little bit too, but like the shadows along the right side, left side of his face.
Yeah, it'll sink in a little bit, but not enough to the point where I have to oil it out
No.
or do something.
No.
It's
It is Sargent, so, but it's just, I've never really seen you do it like that before. Well, I can't say that. I can't remember. How you doing, Richard?
Oh, fine.
Are you painting? Are you working? Stuff?
Oh, yeah. I'm not painting along, but I'm painting.
Good.
I'm doing
What are you painting,
project.
Richard? Sergeant?
No, I'm still in the project. I'm doing project 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a hard one.
The hat.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
That hat really just.
I didn't have the courage to try that one. That hat intimidated me completely.
For me, it was throwing the proportions off.
Oh, hats are hard to do.
You know, I mean, at the face, I could get the hat to look like a nice hat, but it throws proportions off.
Yeah.
For me, it is a kind of a difficult one.
He
has a lot of angles to his face, and on the right side of his face, in and out and in and out.
I've even tried to sketch hats, and just a light sketch, and I can never get them to work, unfortunately. It's just like, it's very frustrating. That's so tricky.
Yeah.
Women's hats, I have to admit, but still, this, I just didn't try him. I just went, oh no, it's a hat. Good for you. Good for you. What are you working on, Ingrid?
I'm not working on anything at the moment.
Okay.
Soon I will be. I just came into class on Monday, so I'm sort of new again.
Okay. Cool.
Well, everyone, there's a minute on the timer, so.
Okay, well, should we switch then?
Yeah, so it's same link, same stuff. So everybody knows what to do at this point. All right, I'll see you all in a second. Alright, so everyone on YouTube, once again, my students are with me. This is an experiment, so I'm streaming this on YouTube so you can hang out with us. But if you want to join the Zoom with us, you can definitely do so by checking out the Patreon. But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me. You can write anything you want in the comments as long as it's nice. Alright. Let's connect the Zoom. Didn't realize I had so many tabs open. All these Zoom tabs.
Did anybody else come? Oh, there you go. Everybody's here. Okay.
It's easy to come back easily.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm gonna actually start painting again pretty soon. I'm happy about that.
Well, good.
I really missed it, but I know why I stopped, because on that last painting that I was doing, that peony one, where I was really going into detail on the flowers, and I'd never done that before. It was really hard, but interesting. But I noticed toward the very end that I was starting to get sloppy, and I didn't like that. And I was really afraid that that's how I would start painting, and I didn't want to develop that habit, so I just stopped.
Well,
And then,
that's the awkward
yeah.
stages. Like the awkward stages definitely take
No,
place.
it was my brushstrokes. It was the way I was painting. I was painting kind of carelessly, and I was impatient. And I thought it would be better to stop than to develop that habit. No, it wasn't the awkward stage or anything like that. It was me. It was, yeah. I mean, my brushstrokes were all over the place, and I was like, no, this is not how I want to paint. You know, so. And I think I'm ready to go back. So I'm glad that it was too long.
Well, good. I mean, yeah,
And this,
painting is I made the comparison before. It's like a relationship. There's ups and downs.
yeah,
There's good times,
yeah.
there's bad times. In the beginning, whenever anyone starts something, there's always like the honeymoon phase, and then it
Yeah.
starts to get difficult, and you have to work through the good times, the bad times, and
Sometimes
not
it takes,
not end it after the first fight, like like a lot of people
Oh,
do
yeah.
on those TV shows. Um,
no,
gotta have the patience, I guess is the word, and the trust.
the,
Trust, know that you'll
I just,
you'll come back to it. It's just
yeah.
part of you.
I learned to take things that way, to just, I stopped because I knew it wasn't going to be for good this time. Like in the olden days when I was younger, I'd stop. I'd put everything away and not paint again, and I never painted again until I met you. And it was really sad, but, looking back on it. But I realized this time it paused because there were too many other things going on in my life, and they were big, and I was distracted, and I was impatient, and then it was going through a phase. So, and I knew that would end. And life is like that. So you go through things in phases. But it was, I really missed it. I missed it. Every morning I start painting, and it was part of my routine, and I really missed it. So I'm glad to be coming back at it.
Oh, good.
I ended it with that model of yours, Yukari, that redheaded model in the skull. That was the last thing I painted.
Well, that one's definitely not easy to do.
No, I didn't find it hard, but I stopped there. I didn't finish the skull yet. I gotta do that.
My favorite painting I did with you, Yukari, is the lady with the pearl earring.
Oh yeah?
I love that one. It came out nice. I'm very happy with it.
Oh, good. Yeah, the pearl earring is the first one, I think, where you go in with the umber sketch. I think, right? It's after, project 2 was the full, like, almost like the training wheels, kind of like go in with the outlines and the full classic approach.
That's true. It made it a lot easier. And it was a side profile, which makes it easier to paint than a full face, forward face.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Oh, really? Oh, I found it much easier.
No, God, some of these artists, the classical masters, that did poses of faces where they're 3/4 or they're like kind of glancing this way.
I know. Yeah.
And you go, oh, and you can't capture that. It's really frustrating. Who wrote that? Yeah. The impossible subtlety wasn't even reached.
You just have to keep coming back to it and keep working on it.
Working on it and get your car out. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, the impossible subtleties is, I guess has anyone else on the internet worded it that way? Other than just the finishing stuff? I mean, I don't know how people word it. I guess, well, I was taught it was just rendering, like refining.
Yeah, I suppose rendering, I don't know.
But there's a level beyond that.
Yeah.
Like the level where you don't know what to do. I mean, that's a very, like, real thing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody teaches that as far as I know.
Yeah.
Teachers are.
And you have to get to that level where you don't know what to do, because that's how you make progress.
That was huge.
Yeah, and then the whole thing that people say, like the myth of overworking, like like I,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any such thing as overworking. There's just putting the painting aside.
Yeah, you told me that. I was like, yeah, oh, okay, all right. And I've heard students say that to you before, and it's like you say, and it's a really good lesson to learn. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's other ways to look at it. Some people, a more pessimistic way to look at painting is some people say like it's a painting's never finished, only abandoned, but I don't think that's true. I think in a painting you say what you want to say, like visually. Like I'm saying his eyes are crooked, but that's how they are in the painting, so that's just what I'm saying. His eyes are crooked, and the brushstrokes are the way they are. He has an expression the way he has, and that I'm visually communicating things. So once I've communicated everything I wanted to communicate to me, it's finished. It's on to the next one. Um, but for sure, I mean the ease of, I guess, like the fact that this is so natural now. The cobras. I mean, like I haven't used any medium. These are my premixtures from the dog series of the series of dogs that I'm painting. Like there's nothing here that feels unnatural anymore. What is unnatural is there hasn't been anything on the comments. What happened with YouTube? Yeah, everyone left. That's not good. Maybe this experiment didn't go well.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I gotta say, I'm still loyal to oil.
no, that's fine. It's all the same. It's
Yeah,
just
I know, but it's just, I mean, maybe I'm just old and crazy, but I don't want to make the same. This is the first time I haven't tried following you into something. I bought 2 Cobras and that was it. And it's done, but yeah, I got too many tubes of oil paint too, you know. I'm sure you do too.
Are you just using oil paint, not the water soluble?
No. I have 2 colors in the Cobra, but all the rest, I mean, I bought, they're all old oils, so I have too many colors in the oil.
Are you going to?
Everyone does.
You're going to try to go to water soluble oils in the future?
I don't know.
I think she has a sink where she, so I don't think she has to worry about it. I mean, it's all personal preference though.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that change, you know. You know, make a change.
I had to change because I'm sort of a messy painter, and my oil paints were getting all over everything. So when I switched to water soluble, the cleanup is just a breeze. It's delightful. I just love it.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
Yeah, I get it. To me, the status of a painter is how messy you are, but that's just silly of me.
Their thing, of course.
Yeah, water paint splotches everywhere and on me and my hair and my face.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
My husband comes in the room and says, "You're a mess. What happened to you?"
Yeah. Nobody looks in my room. They don't want to.
Is that blood? I said, "No, that's Kathy."
Yeah.
I have a man who painted, whose teacher was Robert I. Scammell, one of the great Boston painters. And he was a very elderly man when he had him. And he always painted in a full suit with his jacket, tie, like he was really old school. And the students asked him, "Why do you paint like that? Aren't you afraid?" And he said, "If you know what you're doing."
Yeah, I've got to paint really slow and careful. Yeah. I don't know. But I think a lot of painters, that's really old school, man. That's really old.
We're talking back in he was an old man in the 40s, so he goes way back.
Right.
That's delightful.
Who is it that you love, Yukari, that painted in a suit? That I can't think of his name. I don't know which name.
Someone painted in a suit? I don't.
Yeah.
I
Your
don't.
favorite painter. Your favorite ever painter.
Well, my favorite painter was Nelson, but I don't think he painted in a suit.
Who?
My favorite painter was Nelson Shanks, but I don't think he painted in a
Nelson.
suit.
He isn't painting in a suit, isn't he?
Well, he
He's
might
a
have
teacher?
posed
I
for a
think it was
picture.
common in the 19th century. Common in the 19th
Well,
century.
yeah.
There's you can go on YouTube and see Monet. They have a video of Monet, an old, I don't know what they were using back then.
Wow.
And he's in a suit.
Well, I'm sure it was a.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I think they
Well,
just
you know,
posed it
What's
though.
that?
The old world.
In the 19th century, in Daytona Beach, along the beach, they would come down to like Florida in full suits and walk the beach, you know?
Oh, my God. I live in Boca Raton, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and women were dressed the same way they would be up north, you know, with the long dresses
Yeah.
and the layers, and they didn't change. That's what they were. I thought, I would die. I don't
Me
like
too. I would too.
Yeah. Yeah, this heat overheated, but man, they didn't. They were, man. Yeah. But yeah, Cobra is definitely easier to clean up on. But
Much easier. Who's your favorite painter?
mine
Yes,
is really old. Rembrandt is my favorite painter.
I like Rembrandt a lot too.
There's
I
many.
painted him recently, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many out there that are really brilliant, but yeah, he always comes to mind.
It's hard
I
to
liked
choose.
Da Vinci for a while, but and I painted copies from Da Vinci's, but the style, it was so stylistic that Rembrandt's was real. So that's what I liked about this.
I agree. Very
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, very real. Later on, when he became less popular for it. He changed his style to more, you know.
Richard, who's your favorite painter?
I'd say Sargent.
Sargent?
I like the loose. I know, like you say, he's a trickster.
Yeah.
That loose appearance, I really like it.
I have to agree with you, Richard. I like the loose style also. The loose style.
But
Why was he
I also agree with you, Pari. It's deceptive.
What?
It's just,
What do you mean?
it looks like he dashed it on, but he really didn't. It's all thought out very carefully, I think.
Yeah,
There's a
there's
beautiful,
many.
beautiful Sargent painting in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, and if you look at it from a distance, it looks like such detail. It really does. When you get close to it, there's nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did it? I don't know, but it
Yeah.
looks so loose and expressive.
Yeah.
What? I
He
think.
was on the edge of Impressionism.
Yeah. It was.
Impressionist.
Yeah. Also, yeah. The times. It was. Impressionism was the thing. Like a lot of people think that the Impressionists struggled, but they didn't. They had it made. I mean, like in the beginning, sure, it was a struggle, but they did have a lot of success in their lifetimes. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess.
It's like you said, Richard, when you said that there was a piece, and I forget who it was by, a piece or something, was one of those scenery things, and it was at the Met, and I walked into the room, and it was a huge painting, and you could see it very clearly. These people walking in a picnic, and you got up close to it, and there was nothing but smears. And you go, how did they do that?
Interesting.
Smears. Jason, and it looked beautiful from a distance, but nothing up close. Very interesting. I don't know how they did that.
Of course, the paintings were huge, so
Yeah, they
I
were.
mean,
Yeah.
they're complicated. I don't think you could do the same thing with a small painting. It wouldn't have the same effect.
No.
Well,
They were
it's
meant to be.
possible. Like the physics is the same. Like to get that look with a small painting. It's just all about knowing what those fundamental values are and make sure that they're in place. Because it's all optical illusions. I mean, light and shadow will always be light and shadow to us visually. Um, I mean, it is kind of trippy to think about, but everything that we experience visually in the world is not the way it really is. It's all kind of like how our brain interprets reality and creates the images out of it. But the science behind the physics behind what makes paintings look real, the light and shadow and form, all that stuff is it's universal to us. It'll always look that way to us. I mean, it might not look that way to an alien or to a chihuahua, but that's universal. So understanding that, and like for example, like each brushstroke, like light, so highlight, side plane, shadow. These are shadows here, accents, and that's pretty much it. And it'll begin to look like something 3D. And it's simple in nature, but executing it consistently in a painting, it takes time to do it. But once you can do it, I think any size you can make that effect happen any size. But I do agree it is easier with a bigger one. I think that's what you were saying. It's easier with a bigger one than a smaller one.
Sometimes I have problems mixing paint, knowing what formula to get a certain color. And I finally bought a book, it's 1,500 color mixing recipes for oil, acrylic, and watercolor. And it gives you all the recipes for facial, portraits, landscape, what to mix for all your colors. So it was very, very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if that, like, whatever works, I always say. But I always try, at least to the best I can, not to kind of like fall back to a certain mixture. Of course, the burnt sienna white ultramarine blue is great for the beginning, like for most skin colors. But at a certain point, you want to keep it very kind of like thoughtless, I guess, if it's how to put it. Because I was doing research yesterday online into like muscle memory, and I looked up somewhere that it takes something between 1,000 and 30,000 reps of something, which to me is crazy. I don't know how I'm gonna have the time to do that with pool, but at least with painting, like I'm pretty sure I've done like more than 30,000 mixtures of a skin color. So like once you get to that point, you see here, there's like no recipe. It's just what you see is what you paint. And getting to that level again is a lot of it is experience, just painting portraits, but a lot of it is also color study. Because I had a lot of training in color study when I was younger, um, and I have the color study projects on Patreon, but no one does them. They're
hard to do, but very helpful.
Yeah, and after Ellen did them, I noticed. Yeah, I noticed you got a lot better.
I failed color theory in school, and I didn't go to school for art, but I drew in black and white because I avoided color altogether. So it was hard for me to learn how to do like even realistic, especially realistic color. And those color studies, I didn't want to do them, and they were the best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean.
You become instinctive with your color mixing because you've done it for so long.
Yeah, it becomes instinct.
But the way you put. What I learned was that almost everything will make a neutral. It's just which neutral you want.
There you go.
I found that fascinating. Yeah. It's so cool that you could do black and red and create a neutral that's rich, dark color, and just things I never knew about. I don't know.
whole learning process.
Yeah.
It was like, it was really helpful.
Well, I like that you said almost anything can become a neutral. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That shows me that you really grasp it. You've grasped the concept behind it, and it's hard to really put into words. But like at a certain point after all the repetition, like the painting is almost like finished upon like the first couple brushstrokes in your own mind. Like you already know where you're heading. That's why with this, this looked like a gremlin in the beginning when I started it, because it was just I didn't worry about it. This is still too far down. Like the planes are still not fully developed, but I I had an understanding of what could be done with it. I know that I still haven't
Yeah.
put anything accurate up there yet, but I was fine with starting it off looking like a gremlin because I knew I had the experience and the trust
We,
in my
we got
process.
that, and it's so funny because I used to be scared to start, and I got comfortable with starting because of that, and I realized, you taught the process. It's a process that you have to do, right, Ingrid? It's a process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one time I was doing a painting and my son came in and he was looking at it and he's like, well, this and that, you got, wait a minute, this is that. And I said, it's a process, don't worry.
My husband does the same thing.
With all confidence, I was like, this is a process, come back again.
Exactly. Yep, don't bother me till I finish it.
No,
You're not helping.
Completely, because I realized that, yeah, it's the only way I can say it is a process. Yeah.
But I'm never satisfied. Even when I finish a painting and hang it, I'll look at it and say, oh, I can touch that up. I see a little thing I can do. I'm never completely satisfied.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's part of it. Being an artist.
Exactly.
I think there was a very famous artist who had done a portrait of a friend of his way back when. He was a master. And he gave it to his friend, and his friend hung it in his library. And whenever he would go visit his friend, he wanted to take the painting back.
Of course.
Something like, I know I went to the guy was like, no, you can't have it back.
Exactly.
Every single time he said you can have it.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, part of being an artist. Funny.
Yeah, so I've done.
He looked like a gremlin. That's funny because his face was the shape of his beard and everything.
Well, it looked like a gremlin at first, but now it's starting to be a little bit less gremlin. And I wanted to show the internet the layering of it because it's so natural. Like you can just trust the values and the colors, painting wet into dry. It's almost like you're painting onto like a retouched, varnished layer. This still looks like I had just applied it, even though it's dry. I definitely think it's an advantage, but it's the same concept as, it's the same stuff as traditional painting. It's just you don't have to. You can skip some steps, like you can skip the oiling out. You can skip the retouching of it. You can skip a lot of steps with it, which makes it way more convenient. We can hang out in class longer, but I think I'm gonna end the YouTube. Cause no one's really said anything. But anyway, I'm gonna just say my see you laters to YouTube. But everyone on Zoom will stay on a little bit longer. So alright YouTube, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.